It is our great honor to have Mr. Bruno Luk, Deputy Director of Environmental Protection Department, to give us a keynote presentation on the latest waste reduction initiatives in Hong Kong. Please welcome Mr. Luk.
Okay, good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to be invited to this session of the EnviroSeries Conference 2023 today. The theme of this year's conference is Accelerating Net Zero Action Through Carbon Pricing, Digitalisation, and Closing the Resource Loop. Waste management and reduction plays an important role in closing the resource loop. So today it's my pleasure to share with you on the latest waste management and reduction initiatives in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, like many developed cities, has seen its waste generation rise amid economic growth. According to the Waste Composition Survey conducted by the Environmental Protection Department in 2021, the average daily quantity of municipal solid waste disposal at landfills was over 11,000 tons daily. Among these MSW disposed of daily, around 30% was food waste, around 20% was waste plastic, and 20% was waste paper. To address this issue of MSW disposal in Hong Kong, the waste management strategies in Hong Kong have to be very comprehensive and far-reaching. In February 2021, the government promulgated the Waste Blueprint for Hong Kong 2035, setting out a vision of waste reduction, resources circulation, and zero landfill. The blueprint outlines the strategies, goals, and measures to tackle the challenge of waste management up to 2035. The medium-term goal is to gradually reduce per capita MSW disposal rate by 40 to 45%, and to raise the recovery rate to over 55% by implementing MSW charging, while the long-term goal is to move away from the reliance on landfills for direct waste disposal by developing adequate waste-to-energy facilities. In heading towards this ultimate goal of zero landfill, as laid out in the Waste Blueprint, the government has launched multi-pronged measures. I would like to first highlight two key strategies in waste management and reduction in Hong Kong, namely the municipal solid waste MSW charging and producer responsibility schemes PRS. I will also talk about how the government addressed the top three types of MSW and the government's efforts in casting a territory-wide recycling network. So first, let me turn to MSW charging. It sits at the center of the overall waste reduction strategy of the government. Premised on the polluter pays principle, it aims to make use of financial disincentive to encourage the public to treasure resources, reduce waste at source, and practice clean recycling to reduce overall waste disposal amount. We envisage that members of the public will be incentivized to practice waste reduction and recycling more proactively with the implementation of this MSW charging so as to minimize the charges payable. Our target now is to implement MSW charging by end of this year. We're actively taking forward relevant preparatory work, including the establishment of a manufacturing, inventory, and distribution system, and the retail network for the supply of designated bags and designated labels, communication with various stakeholders, such as property management companies, frontline cleansing workers, waste collectors, etc., to formulate relevant guidelines and provide support to them, as well as launching extensive public education and publicity campaigns on waste reduction and recycling so as to enable the government, all the stakeholders, and the public to get prepared. Another key policy tool in waste management strategy in Hong Kong is the PRS. Also based on the polluter pays principle and the concept of eco-responsibility, the PRS requires relevant stakeholders, including manufacturers, retailers, and consumers, to share the responsibility for the collection, recycling, treatment, and disposal of end-of-life products to avoid and reduce the environmental impacts caused by these products. The theme of conference today is to close the resource loop, so the PRS could certainly benefit the development of a circular economy locally. At present, we have 3 PRS fully implemented, including the plastic shopping bag charging scheme, the PRS on waste electrical and electronic equipment, and a PRS on glass beverage containers. For the plastic shopping bag charging scheme, although it's not really falls under the traditional definition of an extended producer responsibility, but it is still one of the policy tools that we have employed to reduce plastic waste. The scheme aims to drive behavioral change through a direct economic disincentive imposed on consumers. The scheme was fully implemented to cover the entire retail sector since April 2015. And because of the recent rebounds in the disposal of plastic shopping bags, enhancement measures were implemented on the 31st December last year, which include increasing the minimum charging level per bag from 50 cents to $1, and removing the exemptions for plastic bags carrying frozen or chilled foodstuff items. We observed a very significant drop in the distribution of plastic shopping bags in major retail chains in the first 2 months after the enhancement. Comparing to the same period last year, the distribution of these bags by major retail groups dropped by over 60%, while the flat-top bags distribution by major supermarket chains even dropped by more than 80%. So these figures are very encouraging. The second PRS launch was on the waste electrical electronic equipment, which has been fully implemented since 2018, covering 8 types of regulated electrical equipment, including air conditioners, refrigerators, washing machines, televisions, computers, printers, scanners, and monitors. Under this PRS, the regulated electrical equipment manufacturers and importers must register with the EPD and pay recycling levy for these equipment they distribute in Hong Kong. After distributing the new equipment, the sellers must, upon request, arrange free removal service for consumers and deliver the old equipment of the same class to the licensed recycler. To complement the operation of the scheme, the WE Park, with a design capacity of 30,000 tons per year, has commenced full operation since March 2018. It turns the regulated waste electrical equipment into valuable secondary raw materials, including copper, aluminum, iron, plastics, etc. At the end of 2022, more than 100,000 tons of regulated equipment have been processed. Taking into account the actual implementation of this PRS in the past few years, we're now amending the law to expand the coverage of the existing electrical equipment items. The relevant law is being scrutinized by the Legislative Council, and we expect to implement the enhanced PRS in 2024. The third PRS, which is relatively new, is on glass beverage containers, which was just implemented fully on May 1st, 2023. Starting from that day, a beverage supplier, including manufacturers and importers who distributes glass bottles beverages in Hong Kong, must first register with the EPD and fulfill the statutory obligations, including the payment of the container recycling levies. At the end of first quarter of 2023, about 4,600 glass container collection points has been set up in Hong Kong, and more than 90,000 tons of waste glass containers has been collected for proper treatment. Currently, glass containers recovered and treated locally are used for producing eco-pavers and cement, and while some are exported to other places for recycling. These outlets can fully absorb all the glass materials recovered locally. So learning from our previous experience in launching these PRS, we are now reviewing how to introduce new schemes in a more effective way and to simplify the legislative process in the future. And by making reference to experience in other places, we're inclined to implement new PRS in future based on a market-based model. where the relevant stakeholders, such as product suppliers, retailers, and recyclers, will play a more active role in the scheme. This, in turn, will help enhance the efficiency and cost effectiveness of the recycling arrangement and help create a circular economy in Hong Kong. And we're also considering whether PRS for other products, such as EV batteries, tires, lead-acid batteries, should be introduced. The next target on our pipeline is a PRS on plastic beverage containers and beverage carton. So this will be the first PRS to be regulated under the new market-based model. So under this model, the relevant recovery services, including setting up of return point network, collection of plastic beverage containers and beverage cartons, arrangement for proper recycling, etc., will be provided by the market. Suppliers have to meet statutory recovery targets set by the government. And we are now preparing the relevant legislative proposals, and we hope that we can introduce the bill in the LegCo for scrutiny in sometime end of this year or early next year. And subject to the progress of this legislative process, we expect to implement this PRS in 2025. So to pave way for the implementation of this PRS on plastic beverage containers, the EPD launched the first stage of the pilot scheme in 2021 to assess the application of reverse vending machines for recovering plastic beverage containers in Hong Kong, followed by a second stage in 2022 to increase the number of RVMs from 60 to 120. RVMs were set up in places with suitable foot traffic with the provision of instant rebate of 10 cents per plastic beverage container through e-payment platforms. We have received very positive responses from the public, and by mid of May this year, over 53 million plastic beverage containers have been recovered under the pilot scheme for recycling. Retired EV batteries is another target item to be regulated under the PRS. And the Hong Kong roadmap on popularization of EV has set out the policy direction of the introduction of a PRS to further ensure the proper collection and handling of retired electric vehicle batteries. We are now liaising with the trade and relevant stakeholders and have started conducting business impact assessments, and we prepare for conducting consultation later this year. The aim is to introduce a bill within 2024, and my colleague David will talk about this topic more in the session 3 panel. So MSW charging and PRS are two important strategies in waste management in Hong Kong. So in the beginning of the speech, I've talked about top 3 types of waste in the daily MSW disposal in Hong Kong in 2021. And the government has launched several measures to particularly address these 3 types of waste. First is food waste. This is really on the top. It comprises 30% of our daily MSW disposal. To tackle the challenge of this food waste, we have been on full steam to expand the food waste collection network territory-wide by introducing a series of collection schemes to facilitate both the public and the private sectors, such as food factories, wet markets, hotels, shopping malls, residential buildings, and even small-scale restaurants to participate in food waste recycling. The quantity of food waste collected has been increasing progressively, with a daily average collection exceeding 150 tons, which is turned into renewable energy in the government's recycling facilities, OPAC. The government will continue the efforts to increase the food waste collected and recycled. In parallel, we have been striving to promote a culture of food waste, less waste, to encourage members of the public to change their lifestyle habits towards avoiding and reducing food waste at source. The second largest composition of MSW in Hong Kong is plastic waste, about 20% of our daily disposal. So besides the PRS on the plastic beverage containers that I just mentioned, one of the initiatives that the Chief Executive has announced in last year's policy address is to introduce in the LegCo to regulate disposable plastic tableware and other plastic products. And we have done so in March 15th this year. and the bill is being scrutinized by the Legislative Council. To speed up the pace of plastic reduction and to allow time for the community to get prepared, we propose to implement the first phase of proposed regulation in end 2023 or early 2024. And we will continue to promote the reduction of disposable plastic tableware so as to encourage more members of the public and eateries to participate in a plastic-free environment and waste reduction at source. My colleague, Kenneth, will give a keynote presentation on this topic in session 4 later. On waste plastic recycling, the EBD has also extended the pilot scheme on waste plastic collection and recycling to cover 9 districts progressively since late March 2022 to collect all types of non-commercial and non-industrial plastic for proper handling and recycling. The service covers about half of the population in Hong Kong, and the total collection amount is expected to reach 5,000 tons per year. At present, the overall monthly collection quantity reach around 490 tons for 9 districts, which is in line with the expected target. This pilot scheme plays a role in closing the resource loop of plastic waste in Hong Kong, benefiting local plastic recyclers and the development of a circular economy. As for waste paper, it constitutes the 3rd largest waste composition in MSW disposal in Hong Kong. And we have also been implementing waste paper collection and recycling services to enhance the quality and quantity of waste paper recyclables and support the entire local waste paper recycling operation chain. In addition, the modern pulping facility in Eco Park is expected to commence operation in 2025. And by then, there will be more diversified recycling outlets for local waste paper, facilitating the development and competition of waste recycling industry in the local market. So after talking about the efforts done by the government in managing different types of waste, you may wonder how we encourage the public to practice recycling in their daily lives. And we believe that the level of convenience of recycling facilities play a significant role in cultivating people's recycling habits. So to complement the implementation of MSW charging, we have been continuing to expand this community recycling network, the Green Ed Community. Currently, it consists of facilities at 3 levels. We have 11 recycling stations of bigger size to provide education and recycling support, 31 recycling stores located near residential buildings, and over 120 recycling spots to enhance recycling services. In 2022, the Green Ed Community attracted about 5.2 million visitors to participate in clean recycling, collected around over 20,000 tons of recyclables, and organized about 2,000 environmental education activities. Also, to strengthen the community recycling support in the public rental housing estates, the EBD plans to develop a network of smaller scale recycling stores in the public housing estates to facilitate residents and those living nearby to participate in green recycling. Smart recycling bins will be installed to facilitate residents to practice recycling and to earn green dollar points. EBD will launch a pilot scheme on the new operation mode in Kwai Tsing district in the mid of this year. And the scheme will be extended progressively to around 50 public housing estates starting from end of this year. To encourage the public to use green community facilities, we introduced this Green Dollar scheme in November 2020 under a pilot program of smart recycling systems. Green dollar points can be earned for redemption of gifts, mostly daily necessities, when the public carries out recycling at over 160 collection points, as well as about 70 smart recycling bins at all the recycling stations, public and private housing estates, rural villages, shopping malls, etc. As of May 2023, this Green Dollar scheme has already built up over 260,000 membership accounts. Promotion, education, and on-site support also play a vital part in encouraging and facilitating the public to participate in waste reduction and recycling. We have set up a team of about 200 staff, a lot of them are young people, called Green Outreach, to provide outreaching service to all 18 districts in Hong Kong. The team reaches out to the community to promote the importance of waste reduction at source, educate the public to practice source separation of waste and clean recycling, disseminate the latest information on waste management. The Green Outreach also formulates collaboration plans on community recycling support for individual districts, assist owners, operation, or property management companies to secure proper outlets for recyclables. So the above is the overall picture on what this Hong Kong government has been doing in terms of waste management. And I wish my introduction could set a background of the waste management situation in Hong Kong to facilitate discussion in the subsequent panels. So once again, I would like to thank BEC for creating such a wonderful, meaningful, enriching platform for the exchange of green, innovative ideas. And I wish the conference a great success and wish you all to enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you very much.